that was excellent, and I think, I hope, there will probably be a rush. Alan, take note of this. There will probably be a rush of people wanting to buy copies of Chronicles of the Canongate. But thank you very much indeed for unveiling that look at the encapsulation of Scott and his outlook. I think that was one of our more enlightening addresses at this dinner. Sir Walter Scott was born on the 15th of August, 1771 in this city. He spent his childhood between here and the Scottish borders, and he began his education at the high school here, and it was in Edinburgh that he undertook his law classes. It's here too that his great monument stands to this day, bringing an uplifting and inspiring character to Edinburgh's principal thoroughfare, and I'm sure he would be pleased that not far from where he and Maida sit, his words, in the form of many apt quotations from his writings, grace the railway station, which bears the name of his first novel. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise and join me in drinking a toast to the city of Sir Walter Scott's birth, the city of Edinburgh. City of Edinburgh. And now, please resume your seats. I'm delighted to welcome back Bailie Elaine Aitken, who represents Caermall Head on the City of Edinburgh Council, to respond to our toast. Elaine, who came to our dinner last year, is here again, and we're delighted to see you with her husband Michael. Is an Edinburgher born and bred and went to James Gillespie's High School for Girls. Before she became a full-time counsellor, she was a medical scientist at the Scottish Blood Transfusion Service and fundraising manager at Chest Heart and Stroke Scotland. And on the council, she speaks for the Conservative group on health, social care and housing. She holds the honorary title of Bailie, which nowadays means she supports the Lord Provost in his civic duties. We're delighted that you're supporting him here tonight, because I think we'd rather have you than poor old Donald. Well, I hope it will. Ladies and gentlemen, Bailie Elaine Aitken.
President, Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, the Lord Provost sends his apologies for this evening, but I'm delighted as a Bailie of the City of Edinburgh to be here again tonight and have the opportunity to deliver the reply to Alistair's illuminating toast. And those remarks will go back, Alistair. I've been asked to celebrate Edinburgh's extraordinary literary heritage. Our great city's influence is inspiring and immense. Our wonderful capital is a literary city with such a rich and diverse history. Edinburgh's literary heritage stretches back well over 500 years. It's where Scotland's first book was published, where the oldest magazine was created, and where the first professor of English literature taught. And more recently, as we all know, the world's first city of literature. But then Edinburgh has a long tradition of intellectual inquiry and expression. Edinburgh, as we've heard, led the way in the 18th century, the Scottish Enlightenment, when the drive for inquiry shaped and influenced not only Scotland, but the civilised world. This is where Adam Smith, the father of capitalism, wrote The Wealth of Nations. Charles Darwin studied here, and it was the home of the great philosopher David Hume. Edinburgh has also produced some of the world's best-loved books and characters. Jekyll and Hyde, Sherlock Holmes and Peter Pan, Treasure Island, the Waverley novels, Trainspotting, the #1 Ladies Detective Agency, Ian Rankin's Rebus stories, Muriel Sparks novels, and of course J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter. They all form part of Edinburgh's cultural landscape. Edinburgh's literary heritage has also been fashioned in stone. The Scott Monument, the largest monument to a writer in the world, and Waverley Station, named after the Waverley novels by Sir Walter Scott, and more recently, Macker's Court, Scotland's Poet Corner, where great writers are commemorated. It is not only writers who have contributed to the wealth of Edinburgh's literary heritage. It wouldn't have been possible without its printing presses. Edinburgh's printing industry introduced some of its great novelists to the world, and it's still going strong today with publishers such as Canongate, Berlin and Edinburgh University Press. Edinburgh is alive with literature. It has a thriving literature quarter, a rich history and vibrant calendar of events across our libraries, museums and literary venues. And we can continue to celebrate and be inspired by our writers and our poets. Many of you here will be very familiar with the City of Edinburgh Council's Writers' Museum, which, as you know, is dedicated to Robert Burns, Sir Walter Scott and Robert Louis Stevenson. The museum helps to keep the legacy of these three great Scottish writers in the public eye. It keeps their stories, their personal stories alive through telling the stories of their lives and works through original objects, manuscripts and portraits. The Writers' Museum volunteers supervise the Robert Louis Stevenson rooms, and they offer a friendly and knowledgeable welcome to visitors. In recognition of the great work done by these volunteers, they were nominated in the Customer Service category of the Museum Heritage Awards. This is one of the most prestigious set of awards in the sector. The Writers' Museum volunteers, I'm delighted to say, were placed second, and this is achieving a highly commended rating. It's an absolute tribute to their dedication and commitment and love of everything to do with the man and his works. I can also report that the Cultural Service has invested almost £50,000 to enable a partial refurbishment of the Writers' Museum. And this project will create a more flexible main hall, it will enable performance, meetings and venue hire, and this will also expand the visitor orientation area by the main door. And it's developed a distinct Scott Gallery on the first floor. This will have a new range of exhibits and revised interpretive themes. The new flexible space in the main hall allows for more contemporary performances, recitals, workshops, students and writers groups when they were called to meet at the venue. And this has made the museum more dynamic and relevant to visitors, but very much so for local people. The redevelopment also allows for UNESCO's City of Literature partners to have a presence in the venue, progressing a shared objective that Lady Stairs House become a key portal to literary Edinburgh, past, present and future. As part of the successful refurbishment of the Writers' Museum, Christine De Luca, the Edinburgh Macker, wrote a poem. She dedicated this to the museum and she recited it at the opening, and it's now framed there for all to see. But what of the tallest monument to a writer in the world? We are now in the final stages of preparation for the fitting of a new external lighting scheme for the Scott Monument. I was asked earlier on this evening, why is it in darkness? And this is why, but this will change soon. The design will make use of the new generation of LED floodlights that are now available. Lights which have a significantly longer life than conventional halogen systems, and it will combine with much reduced running costs. The scheme has been designed by Kevin Shaw Lighting Design, an Edinburgh-based company with an international reputation. The scheme is aimed to enhance the Gothic quality of this iconic structure, using a warm light on the blackened sandstone to highlight the intricate architectural features. It promises to give the monument its rightful prominence again here in the city. So work on this installation is due to commence on Monday the 11th of April, and it's estimated to take 3 to 4 weeks to complete. Unfortunately, the monument will have to close to allow the works to take place, but I'm sure you'll all agree that it will certainly be worth it. As you know, the current lighting scheme no longer functions, and the fittings have become superseded. But we also are planning a refurbishment of the entrance booth to the monument to make it more welcoming and attractive to visitors. A designer has been appointed and the initial design suggestions are in process. So the monument to Sir Walter Scott is being cared for. I can also tell you that the museum service recently acquired a large, ornately framed plaster plaque dedicated to George Meikle Kemp, the architect of the Scots Monument. The plaque bears an inscription to Kemp and includes a head and shoulders relief portrait with the Scott Monument outlined in the background. It has been carefully restored by our collections care officer and gallery technicians, and it will be on display in the City Arts Centre in the summer of 2017. So, as ever, it seems most appropriate to end my theme tonight of celebrating Edinburgh's literary heritage by giving the last word to the great wizard of the North himself, and recall Sir Walter Scott's enduring tribute to our city, mine own romantic town. I'm delighted to be here once again with you tonight, and thank you so much for inviting Michael and I to join you.